Welcome to the Caffe Orsini Pinguini.
I'm Joe, the big bear.
And I am Carlo, the singing penguin. For nearly 40 years, we have hosted an annual Christmas party for our families.
We bake the traditional Christmas pastries of Carlo's Italian family and my Midwestern family.
And we'd like you to join us.
Hi, I'm Joe, the big bear, and this afternoon we're making Old Nana's chocolate spice cake. So what I'm going to show you are the ingredients that I've already added to the bowl. I put in 4.5 cups of flour, 4.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoons of salt, and those are our dry ingredients, and I'm going to start mixing them now. This afternoon, we're going to put in our 2 cups of coarsely chopped walnuts. So I'm going to just go through here and coarsely chop them. They don't have to be chopped very fine. Okay, and I think now these are enough that I'm going to put them in the dry mix so I can get my next cup. And then there's the remainder of the nuts. And here I have reserved 9 walnuts that will go on top of the finished product. Oh, I think that's enough now. So I'm going to put the remainder of these in our dry ingredients, and then we're going to be able to mix our dry ingredients. Here we go. Now I'm just going to mix this, stir it up. Now we're going to make the spice mix. So I'm going to reach into the spice drawer and get the nutmeg. Now I have put in a teaspoon of nutmeg, 3/4 of a teaspoon of cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom. And then I'm going to mix it up here. This is our dry mix for spices. I want to get those spices spread out through the whole dry mix. And now I'm going to preheat the oven to 350. There it is. I'll talk with you later. And now we're going to do the liquid part. I have 3 cups of sugar, and I'm going to add 1/4 cup of cocoa to that mix. 3/4 cup of chocolate chips, semi-sweet. 3 cups of raisins. 3/4 cup of chopped dates. These are medjool dates, and it's 8 to 12 dates makes the 3/4 cup. 4 tablespoons of butter. These are already cut. There we go. And then to that I add 3 cups of water. All right. And now we're going to stir it. I'm using a wooden spoon. It makes it a little easier. It's a little tough to stir. And then get it thoroughly mixed. Okay, it's feeling pretty good.
Okay, Joe has gotten everything ready for us, and he's even lined 3 pans with parchment, so we're all set for baking. But before we go on, I'd like to say a few words about the woman who is Old Nana. She was my father's grandmother, and the old-timers said of her that she was a tough woman and a shrewd business person. But she was always sweet and loving to me. Those are the only memories I have. Perhaps because I was her first great-grandson. And I was the firstborn of the firstborn of the firstborn. So she spoiled me a bit. So here's to old Nana. Warm memory. So let's begin with the actual liquid part that will make the dough. And we'll start by putting it on medium-high heat and bringing it to a boil. It takes it a while to get there, so be patient. And as soon as it does reach boil, we will turn it down to a vigorous simmer for about 5 minutes. This will melt all of the chocolate, soften the raisins and the dates, thoroughly mix in all the flavors of the spices and the chocolate, and makes for a wonderful texture. You may be wondering why, with that beautiful glass top stove in our kitchen, I am cooking this on a small electric burner. And the answer is that although glass top stoves are virtually indestructible, the one thing that can damage them and pit the surface is being hit by little bits of hot sugar. And this kind of recipe is exactly the only thing that can pit a glass top stove, so we're not using it. You can see that it hasn't come to a boil yet, but you can also see how smooth and glassy the surface is. The butter is melted, the raisins and dates are getting more plump, and everything is smooth. The sugar has dissolved, or is at least mostly dissolved. So we're about halfway. Now I'm going to stop stirring for a bit to see how close we are to a boil. Not close enough. Does take a while to get there. Boiling, turn it down. See, it's still warm and the water is gently moving, but it's not boiling. That's perfect. Well bene, hey, very good. The raisins are nice and plump, the chocolate is glossy, and it smells like the gates of heaven have opened. This is perfect. We've taken this off the heat and we are going to let it cool for from 10 to 15 minutes. Not longer than that though. At the end of the 10 minutes, we will add a teaspoon of our house mix of special vanillas, which includes about 1/3 of Madagascar bourbon vanilla. This is more like what Italians use. It's stronger and less sweet than standard American vanilla.
Now I'm going to mix the wet and dry ingredients.
I'm using a good old-fashioned rubber spatula here to clear the bowl and to get the dough into the pans. And you can see it comes like lava into the pans. About 3/4 full is good. All right. Now we'll go back and smooth them out, level them. It looks like we have, or may have, a little extra. We have an extra pan too. Okay. It will rise, but it's not light and fluffy like a sponge cake. Try and make them approximately equal. The special advantage of this recipe, having no eggs in it, it is completely lickable as raw dough. And yummy. If they made a candy bar like this stuff, I would eat it by the ton. Let's put these guys in the oven. One, two, and three. They'll be in the oven for about 45 minutes. However, you will need to watch them carefully and test them at about 40 minutes. Insert a knife near the center of each loaf, and when it comes out clean, it's cooked. Don't go any farther than that. All right. Okay, we're at 45 minutes, so we're going to test the cakes now. Near the center of the cake, all the way down and out, and they're still just a little runny towards the bottom. So we're gonna give them another 5 or 10 minutes. Clean. Clean.
Happy Christmas Eve morning.
We're getting ready to enjoy Old Nana's deliciously rich chocolate spice cake along with a cup of coffee this morning.
Here's wishing everyone a Merry Christmas.
And a very bright new year. And we look forward to seeing you throughout the year. We'll be publishing a new video every 2 weeks.
Couple of weeks.
Right. So, best wishes.